Hello, thanks for joining me, Astrologer Patrick Arundell, for your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 16th of September. Thank you so much for joining me. This is for your sun or your ascendant. If you yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did now. This week sees Saturn end its 4.5 month backward journey. I think this is something that we can all let out a collective sigh of relief around. But it is true that last week's full moon in Pisces is still feeding its way into this week's proceedings. This is asking us to remain mindful of the more spiritual or emotional dimension of the more practical elements of our aims and our activities. But it is also true to say that Venus and Mercury are forging a beautiful alliance in the sign of Libra. Of course, Venus rules Libra, so it's in its home zone. And if there is something that needs to be discussed, these two will certainly help us to be a bit more detached and embrace a bit more diplomacy. It is true in the second half of the week that Mercury goes into a square with Saturn, and possibly there could be a bit of inhibition or a bit of a stumble around one particular interaction. But I think it is a chance to reach out, to try to find some consensus, to meet people halfway. However, Uranus is forging an obtuse angle to Venus all this week. So when it comes to relationship issues where money might be involved, it's probably better not to be too impetuous. There's also a quarter moon as this week closes in the sign of Gemini. It's just cautioning us not to try to pack too much in. There is a window of opportunity to be really constructive because Mars is forging an awesome angle to Pluto. So if we're really single-minded and we've done our research and we're very precise in our approach, there is the opportunity for a huge step forwards. But if we try to do too much, this quarter moon is going to catch us out. So if you're planning any do-it-yourself, as this week draws to a close, it's probably best not to be too ambitious. Your specific forecast, Leo, suggests that if your energy has been at something of a premium over the last 4 or 5 months, it really wouldn't be a surprise. Perhaps being sacrificing, putting others first, your work or obligations, or perhaps it's just your general energy have felt a little bit depleted, it really wouldn't be a surprise. I think things are going to get better this week, not least that there's the magical alliance between Venus and Mercury in your sector of talk and thought, so there can be some buzzy interactions with others. It's possible, however, that as Mercury goes into a square with Saturn later in this week, that something could make you a little tense again. But if you do need to be really decisive around your resources or a job or money, then the angle between Mars and Pluto all this week gives you an awesome opportunity to act with real thrust and conviction. It's possible that you'll still come into terms with the full moon, which occurred last week, which has been affecting your thinking around money, the ins and the outgoings, and what you share and what you contribute, particularly if you're in a live-in relationship. But I think as this week draws to a close and there's a quarter moon in the sign of Gemini, you're starting to think more about your future. But it's important that as you do cast your eye towards this, that whatever you plan does feel comfortable for you in terms of your sense of values. If you go against these in terms of any financial decision, I think it's something that could leave you feeling a little uneasy or even have some kind of legacy, particularly if you're tempted by a big ticket item which has some kind of loan or finance attached to it. So think carefully about those. It's been a real pleasure being with you. If you'd like to know more about personal astrology based on your time, date and place of birth, you can order your 2020 personal horoscope forecast, get the rest of this year free, and get 30% off by clicking the link beneath this video. But for now, good luck and goodbye.